I'm going to need you Saints fans to buckle up because this offseason, it could get really, really messy. New head coach, no ties to anybody. There's a lot of cap space that we got to clear. And to be totally honest, this roster needs total reconstruction. So welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trace Girouard. Hope y'all are having a wonderful weekend. Let's just dive right into it. Possible departures here for the New Orleans Saints. These are mainly just veterans that, aren't necessarily playing up to their contracts, or B, are just old and there's rumors around them being either cut or traded. So the big names to keep an eye out for this offseason, in my opinion, are the guys on the left side. Derek Carr, Cam Jordan, Taysom Hill, Tyrann Mathieu. I would argue Demario Davis as well, but I think he's going to stick around ultimately. I do think Jamaal Williams, he is out. He is on the outside looking in. Khalen Saunders, we'll have to see. I know he likes playing in New Orleans. I personally am a fan of Binky, but it's been a little underwhelming to say the least. And Cedrick Wilson, the only good thing he's really done for the Saints is throw a touchdown to Alvin Kamara. So I want to ask you a question. Obviously, a lot of veterans just shown on your screen, but, there's trade rumors around a Chris Olave and around an Alvin Kamara and around some of these players. Who's a player that's untouchable? Who's a guy that you will not allow the Saints to cut? You will not allow the Saints to trade? A guy who, no questions asked, has to be on this roster next year. Well, if you said Taysom Hill, I'm here to tell you, you didn't just click into this video and it's a bunch of clickbait. There's a reason for it. Ian Rapoport, Rap Sheet took to the insiders, and he put out a report thinking that Taysom Hill, a return in 25 is not very likely. And here's exactly what he had to say. They have a decision coming on this Taysom Hill. He's talking about the Saints here. It's hard to imagine he'd be back in New Orleans, but I guess anything is possible. Now, I do think it is hard to justify an $18.2 million cap hit when you're a guy in Taysom Hill's position. That being said, the third largest cap hit on the roster needs to go to a guy who's going to be available most of the season. He's going to cost the Saints $18.2 million. That's the third largest cap hit behind Derek Carr and Cameron Jordan. And both of those guys are contracts that are either going to get adjusted, restructured, whatever, or ultimately torn apart. And by torn apart, I mean cut. But this is kind of a tough situation here. If you wanted to move on from Taysom Hill, you can, but it's tough. Reminder, only 2 players can be post-June 1 designations for a cut. So you can go Derek Carr and save $30 million, and then you can go Taysom Hill and save 10, and that's kind of it. You could also cut him, and you don't even save $1 million pre-June 1st. So, you see what I'm saying? It's going to be kind of tough to move off of his contract and make a lot of money here. But if you restructure him and you continue to kick the can down the road, you can save up to about $5.8 million, which I would say is a little bit more realistic. And I think that that's a little bit more fair for a guy of his caliber. And it's nothing to take away from Taysom Hill. It's just he's going to be missing a lot of time due to injury. That's a fact. I want somebody who's going to be available on the field on game day. So coming up here, we're going to dive into the plan for Taysom Hill. What's actually going to happen? Are they going to cut him? Are they going to trade him? Are they going to restructure the contract? What does Kellen Moore want to do with Taysom Hill? We're going to dive into all of that and then some. But really quick, today, we got to give a shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Fanatics. You guys got to get this awesome long sleeve Nike shirt. It's 40% off. I was looking around thinking, hey, I might go get myself some merch. And then I saw this, and I was like, guys, I got to share this with my friends here. So that's why I'm bringing it to the channel. Chatsports.com/SaintsLS. It's Saints long sleeve. That's what the LS is there for. If you guys want to find it, we got the link in the comments and description of this video. Go look like the coaches. Go look like the players. Absolutely fresh shirt. I highly encourage you to go get yours today because I already got mine. It's in the mail. Alrighty, so let's talk about Taysom Hill in terms of his recovery and in terms of the injury because like I just mentioned before we told you about Fanatics, he's not going to be available for quite a while. ACL and knee injuries are not something that just get fixed overnight. It's not something that gets fixed in 6 months. It's something that takes quite a while to recover from. And it's not just an ACL injury, it's a severe knee injury, which is not good. You don't like to see that be the case. But I will say there's positive news around Taysom Hill. He did go through a successful surgery. Aaron Summers reporting this back in December in 2024. So, I'm not going to sit here and say that Taysom Hill is never going to be the player he was, because I don't think that that's fair. Every single season, Taysom Hill proves us wrong. That being said, the fact that he has had a successful surgery and he is expecting to make a full recovery is a really, really good indication of where he'll be this, next season and if he'll be available. And one of the things that I really like about Kellen Moore is how much he respects Taysom Hill and he respects the playmakers on the roster. I mean, specifically on the offense, he shouted out Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill by name, saying that those guys they have superpowers. They are unique players. And Kellen Moore even going as far to say is a lot of us have been trying to chase at Taysom Hill. There's only one, and he's number 7, and he's on the black and gold. So for right now, I am opting to keep Taysom Hill in New Orleans. Maybe he can get back sooner than we all expect, and he can go back on the field and perform. If he can't, well, then you got him, and you can keep him in your pocket, and then maybe you could look to trade him later on. I don't think you should try and move him before the draft. I don't think you try and do anything until in June anyway, because, look, Kellen Moore's offense specifically, just going back to what he did with the Eagles, if anybody else in the National Football League could run a tush push, I'm telling you right now it's this guy. If there's anybody in the league that can successfully be the quarterback role in a tush push, there's a lot of things that have to go right with it. You have to have the offensive line. You have to have the correct personnel. You have to have a lot of things work correctly for the tush push to work. But you're telling me that there's one other player in the National Football League, not named Jalen Hurts, it has to be that guy. And I will say this. We told you about the financials a little bit ago. Reminder, if you were to trade Taysom Hill after June 1st, you save $10.3 million. So, this is where things get interesting. Because does Kellen Moore want to utilize a Taysom Hill on the roster? Or does he want to trade Taysom Hill and get that $10.3 million back and move for the future? I'll tell you right now, if a trade does happen, Denver's the only team that's going to be interested. You're not going to hear from the Cowboys. You're not going to hear from the Packers, the Chiefs, Commanders. You're not going to hear from any team other than Sean Payton in the Denver Broncos. Nobody else would want Taysom Hill on the roster outside of the New Orleans Saints and Sean Payton at the current price point he's at. That's just how it is. So I don't think the Saints will move Taysom Hill. I really hope they don't. Fingers crossed that they don't. I personally, though, am kind of in the camp of new future, new generation of Saints football. We got to get this under control at some point. $10.3 million is a lot of money. That being said, I totally can understand why you would want to keep Taysom Hill. So let me know, would you ever, in any circumstance ever, trade Taysom Hill? It's going to be a trade or a pass down in the comment section. And by the way, I will also add, if you do try to trade Taysom Hill, don't expect some crazy return. At best, maybe like a 5th-round pick. You don't have a 5th-rounder, so I can see that being what the Saints are looking for. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting situation. That's why you subscribe to the channel, because we're going to break it down all throughout the offseason and through the regular season, of course. So y'all stay golden. We will see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.